A few years later, people thought it was kind of funny that there was no president on March 4th, 1849, so they came up with theories to find someone who must have been president without knowing it. Now, as we all know, normally when there is no president, the vice president takes over, but Taylor's vice president also refused to take the oath of office on a Sunday. And back in those days, the third person in line to the presidency after the vice president was the Senate president pro tempore, who happened to be David Rice Atchison, a senator from Missouri. Atchison didn't know about this whole theory that he was becoming president at the time, but he did learn about it later, and he thought it was kind of funny and cool. It certainly helped distract from the only other thing he was known for, which was being a very vocal proponent of slavery. For the rest of his life, Atchison would make jokes about how he was president for one day, but accidentally slept through most of it, and when he died, they put it on his gravestone. He has his own sad little presidential library in Missouri, and they made a song about him for that horrible show, Hysteria.
Old Zach Taylor won't work on a Sunday, and that's how Atchison became president for one day.
But this whole story is actually just a big load of BS. In fact, if you think about it for more than 3 seconds, you'll realize how it's just a giant paradox. If Taylor wasn't president because he didn't take the oath of office on Sunday, then how could Atchison be president on Sunday if he didn't take the oath of office either? Either taking the oath of office matters or it doesn't. The rule can't apply to one guy and not apply to another guy. Taken to its logical conclusion, this would mean that there was actually a whole bunch of presidents for one day in American history, since in the old days when a president died, it often took a while for anyone to notice. Vice Presidents Tyler, Fillmore, Arthur, and Coolidge, for example, were all sworn in as president a day or two after word got out that the old president had died. So that would mean there would have had to be presidents for a day in all of those times too. But there were in fact 2 men who were actually legally president for one day. Actually, even less than one day. They were president for a few hours. And you might have heard of them. Their names were George H.W. Bush and Dick Cheney. See, after Kennedy was shot, there was a lot of worry that someday a president might get hurt so badly that he would still be alive but be unable to work as president. So they passed the 25th Amendment, which gave Congress the ability to diagnose a president who they thought was unable to serve, as well as giving presidents the ability to self-diagnose in times when they felt that they had lost the physical capacity to continue serving as president. And this has actually happened 3 times in the last 30 years. On July 13th, 1985, President Ronald Reagan declared himself unable to serve as president as he underwent abdominal surgery to remove a tumor. His vice president, the old man Bush, thus served as president of the United States from 11:28 a.m. to 7:22 p.m., basically a full workday. The papers reported that he did nothing. Then, many years later, on June 29, 2002, President George W. Bush underwent a sedated colonoscopy and made Vice President Dick Cheney acting president for about 2 hours in the morning while that happened. On July 21st, 2007, Bush had another colon exam and once again made Cheney acting president for a few hours in the morning. When you are serving as acting or temporary president, you have all of the same powers as the real one, and people even call you Mr. President, which is kind of cool. Dick Cheney himself certainly thought this was very cool, as unlike the old man Bush, he probably knew this was the only time in his life he would ever get to be president. So the second time he assumed the presidency, he quickly cranked out a letter to the grandkids just so that they could have proof that their grandfather was once president. This was considered mildly controversial. So anyway, here is my parting question for you. Do you know any other world leader who has served an incredibly short period of time as president or prime minister or king or whatever of a country? Let me know in the comments below. I think that could make a good video someday. And be sure to check out the link below to my super thorough chart of all of the presidents of the United States. It is one of the most popular things I've ever written for some reason. People really like presidents. See you next week.